Welcome to the many interpretations of Torvosaurus. Torvosaurus was a megalosaurid theropod that lived in the late Jurassic of what is now North America and Europe. Probably one of the most unknown Jurassic theropods out there, often getting outshined by other theropods like Allosaurus. But it's no less notable, especially the European species that was found in Portugal and was likely the largest theropod that lived there at that time. Which of course is overall pretty significant. That means it was likely the top predator in that given ecosystem. There's not a lot of depictions of Torvosaurus, which is quite unfortunate. I think it is an animal that could stand to be represented in media a little bit more, but the ones that we have are pretty interesting. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First, we'll start off with Dinosaur King. This one looks pretty cool. I really like the colors. You have a sort of base coloration of blue with some oranges, some yellows, kind of making up the striping. And yeah, there's not too much else I can say. The skull shape looks pretty good. Torvosaurus being a megalosaurid means that it had sort of like a blocky, elongated snout. And that's something that you can kind of see right here. I think that this snout shape is pretty spot on. It's of course shrink wrapped, which is pretty typical for Dinosaur King portrayals, and its wrists are breaking. They're folded downwards. That's something that it could not do. Why you gotta break their wrists like that? It's quite unfortunate. It's quite diabolical. Anyway, we'll go ahead and move on to the depiction that I think most people know about, that being the Dinosaur Revolution Torvosaurus. The one that kind of acts as like a primary antagonist in the area. Of course, we are in Europe here. This is in Portugal, so we see dinosaurs like Lusotitan or Allosaurus europaeus, which is the European species of Allosaurus. It being in Europe means that this would be Torvosaurus guernii. The other species, the North American species, was Torvosaurus tanneri. Fun fact, the species of Torvosaurus guernii was actually named after James Gurney, who is best known as the artist and author of the Dinotopia series. Some amazing pieces of art were done by him. This design is pretty darn good, though. I think that it kind of captures the animal pretty well. A little bit thin, maybe. I think that Torvosaurus was a little bit more robust, a little bit more bulky than how it's portrayed right here. And of course, the skin seems overall really bumpy. Now, I don't really know if we know the skin texture of Torvosaurus, but typically with theropod dinosaurs, most of them seem to have relatively smooth skin, with some exceptions, of course, like Abelisaurids did not seem to have smooth skin. I don't really know what the consensus is for megalosaurids like Torvosaurus, so I'm not really going to say too much else. Colors are really cool here, though. You have this sort of reddish coloration going on with some black stripes, and the head is also like really black in comparison to the rest of the body, which is something that overall I think is really, really cool. It also appears that its arms are facing the proper direction, and in the episode it's portrayed as the top predator in the area, which is awesome. That's likely the way that it was given what we know about Europe during the late Jurassic period. So really not too many complaints right here. I think it's a fine adaptation, and I think that they did a pretty good job at portraying it. There is also the project known as Dinosaur Empire, which should be releasing on YouTube sometime in the near future. There is an awesome piece of work right here of Torvosaurus. It's like guy test. Is this awesome? The answer is yes. We have the Torvosaurus, of course, going up against the main ceratosaurs that we'd be following in it. We don't have too much details about it, but this looks amazing. It's got that proper blocky skull that megalosaurids did have. It's huge compared to the ceratosaurs because Ceratosaurus was a relatively small theropod compared to something like Torvosaurus. This just looks fantastic. It just looks absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to see something like this in action. From the small bits of like art or models that I've seen from this project, I'm really looking forward to seeing it, and I can't wait to talk about it more in the future. Now, we don't have there's really no notable appearances of Torvosaurus in the Jurassic franchise, really no video games or anything like that, which is weird because a lot of times the mobile games would have practically everything, but they don't have any Torvosaurus. But I have a proposal. In Jurassic World the game, there's this thing. This is Tyrannititan. Tyrannititan is a Carcharodontosaurid. It would have also looked a little bit more like this. This is the PNSO Tyrannititan figure that can't focus. Well, you can kind of see it right here. You can really tell by the shape of the snout that it's quite a bit different to what we see in the video game. This does not look like anything like a Carcharodontosaurid. My proposal is that we rename this to Torvosaurus. This looks a lot like Torvosaurus. Look at the shape of that snout. It's a little bit more thin, it's elongated, and it's a little bit more blocky. I don't think anybody would be mad if we just changed the name, went in there and just deleted the name that currently exists and just call it Torvosaurus. I'd be much more willing to accept that. I mean, it's got spikes on it, which I don't think we really know if Torvosaurus had spikes like that. But in terms of like the body and the shape of the skull, it's a lot more like Torvosaurus. I think it would be better if we just made this Torvosaurus. That's my proposal. Take it or leave it, Ludia. It's up to you now. Do the right thing here. And then moving on to prehistoric kingdom. We have both species here. We have Gurnii right here. That's a baby Gurnii. What's interesting here is, of course, this is a new addition, but they gave it small amounts of feathers when it's a little baby, and then as it grows, it starts to, it loses that fluff, and then it becomes a lot more bulky too. The new model for Torvosaurus in this game, I think, looks fantastic. I think that all of that added bulk really does benefit the animal, and I think it's a really good. So this is the European species, of course. This is Tannerai, North American species. Also, Tannerai would have been one of the larger species in North America during the late Jurassic. I don't think I've mentioned that yet. Tannerai, they gave these small amounts of spikes down the midline of the back, which is interesting. You get two different, place them all down here. And the beautiful thing about the new update is I can go into first-person mode and look at them. Gurnii looks really good, of course. The animations and the models in this game are phenomenal. I do really love them. The skull shape looks fantastic right here. The arms look really good. And just the whole animal has that new added bulk, which is, of course, brand new. And then Tannerai here also looks fantastic, has the same basic shape that you would expect from it. Torvosaurus is such a cool dinosaur, and these colors are really cool as well. And the baby looks really good too. I think they killed it with all the baby animal designs. I don't know if we have juvenile or hatchling Torvosaurus specifically, but I think that this is a pretty good interpretation of it. And so, per tradition, let's hear what Nigel has to say about them.
Ah yes, the Torvosaurus, an apex predator of the Jurassic. Its sleek profile made it a formidable foe for even the biggest of prey items. If you want my advice, it's best observed from a safe distance.
Yeah, the Morrison Formation was crazy, though. Morrison Formation had all kinds of theropods and sauropods. There was a lot of species of sauropods that existed in the Morrison Formation. And as I mentioned before, there was quite a few different species of theropod that existed in the Morrison Formation, including Torvosaurus, Ceratosaurus, Allosaurus, a few species of Allosaurus now, including Allosaurus anax. And it's a really fascinating formation. And what's cool is that Portugal had like an ecosystem that was kind of similar to North America at the time. Like they had stegosaurids there, they had sauropods there, they had similar theropods, like there was a species of Allosaurus that lived in Portugal, and of course Torvosaurus both lived in North America and Europe at that time. Lusotitan was of course very similar to Brachiosaurus. It was a Brachiosaurid. It's very fascinating how similar those ecosystems became compared to each other. But yeah, very, very cool dinosaur. I love the colors on this one. I love how bright that throat is. I think that looks really good. But yeah, that's the prehistoric kingdom Torvosaurus. Now, obviously, we have some amazing Torvosaurus mods in Path of Titans. We have the JFD one right here, as well as the Primordial Tyrants. I think that they're both pretty good. I think that they both have really high quality textures and, of course, coloration. I really like this yellow up here for this one specifically. And just the overall model, I think, is fantastic. So with the JFD one, we got Tannerai right here. And then we got Gurnii, which overall seems a little bit different in terms of the snout shape and the tail thickness and whatnot. And then we go to the Primordial Tyrants one. You got Tannerai Variation 1. Variation 2 adds a little bit more bulk to it. Variation 3 makes it a lot more slim. This one removes the lips, which, I mean, I'm more of a lip fan personally. Wow, that one has a chin. That's interesting. And of course we get into, that's the 6 variations of Tannerai, and then Gurnii, which is the European species, just changes the bulk and everything. That's pretty much what they both do. So yeah, and I really like using Torvosaurus and Path of Titans. It's probably one of my favorite dinosaurs to play as. I don't know, I'd say that I'm a pretty big Torvosaurus fan, and I think it's mostly because of how underrated of an animal it is. So it's just really fun to see it move around the way it is, especially when we don't see as much of it in media, unfortunately. Very good model though. The first one is really fantastic. So let's go ahead and check out the second one. And then right here is the PT one. The colors on this are really cool. Really like the sort of patterns it has on its face. And of course the difference in the scales. I don't mention this a lot, but like typically with theropods, they would likely have larger scales on the snout like that. And then it would kind of become smaller throughout the rest of the animal's body. I think that most of the models we've looked at do have something like that, but I really like how bulky this one is. The bulk on this variation in particular is just fantastic. But yeah, we got two really awesome Torvosaurus mods, if you ask me. And I'm pretty sure I did a video with this one specifically, which is always really fun. Okay, and now we have Prior Extinction. We got a beautiful model right here. I say this literally every single time, but I am always blown away by the models that you see in Prior Extinction. Like, this is really, really good, and the animations are really solid. They're really smooth. You know, I think they capture the animal very well. Yeah, I quite like it. Of course, yeah, no, all around the animations are fantastic. It's got some really cool colors too. Like, I really like the spots that you have right here, and then the more, I want to say like orange or yellowish yellowish coloration on the head, more orangish. It's a very good model. You know, very much like on par with like the Path of Titans mods and things like that. It's ooh. Plus you get a beautiful shot like that. Here, I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. And that's gonna go on the Instagram, right? And then you guys are gonna see it on the Instagram before you see the many interpretations of video. Just know that whoever follows me on Instagram, you guys are gonna have insider knowledge about it. You're not gonna have any specific knowledge, but no, I like it. It's very good. It's really satisfying to see it walk around. Again, I'm always impressed by Prior Extinction, and it's my... Oh, dude, are you... This is canon. I think you're an Apatosaurus. Bro, we both lived in the Morrison Formation, bro. How are you doing? Should I fight you? Hello? Hello? How are we doing? This is canon. What's like the friendly call? I can't remember. 3? I've never actually fought anyone in this game. I'm gonna fight him. Numb. I don't know if my fighting is doing anything. I can't tell. I can't tell if my bites do anything. Numb. Numb. Anyway, that's the Prior Extinction Torvosaurus. And there we go. As I said, not a lot of depictions out there. But before you go, there's one thing that I know many of you have been anxiously waiting for, and that is the naming of this Argentinosaurus figure, the Good Argentinosaurus figure. I said for all of you to give me name suggestions in the previous many interpretations of video, and many of you did. There was a lot of fantastic names. It was pretty difficult to dial it down to one. But there was one suggestion in particular that was the most frequent, and that was to name it Sam. Which is kind of confusing because my dog's name is already Sam, but everybody suggested that I name it Sam after Sam Neill. And the reason why that is because I've named Laura here, I named her Laura after Laura Dern from Jurassic Park. Well, you know, who played Ellie Sattler in Jurassic Park. And Sam Neill played Alan Grant in Jurassic Park. So if we name it Sam and we have it, you know, Laura, then they'll always be together, as many folks said. That's what I decided on because a lot of people did suggest that. So this Argentinosaurus is now known as Sam, and this is Laura. Sam and Laura. So yeah, overall, it's a pretty fun video to dive into. We definitely need more Torvosaurus depictions out there, at least in documentary settings. I think that it's an animal that could stand for more depictions. You know, I think a lot of people could be introduced to the animal, and I think that that would overall be a huge positive for the animal. But I'll go ahead and end with my closing credits. I want to say thank you to all my patrons. You guys are absolutely awesome, and you have been helping out tremendously recently. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter for as little as $1 a month, you can help support me and keep this channel going. The link is, of course, in the description below. And of course, the later tiers you'll gain access to a lot of really cool perks if that's something you're interested in. Also, I do have the channel membership that is also down below. The biggest perk for channel members is that you gain access to videos early, which is overall really cool. You get to see them before anybody else. So if you're interested in that, then be sure to check that out below as well. But thank you to everybody for all your support, and thank you for watching this video. I do really appreciate that. Next episode will be Dinotherium. That is going to be a fun one to dive into because Dinotherium is certainly a weird animal with its downward facing tusks, which is very different from elephants today, which are related to Dinotherium. So I'm pretty excited to dive into that. Don't think there's too many depictions of that either, but that's fine. For me, that's not grounds to not cover an animal. But be on the lookout for that. And I'm hoping that we can get caught up in terms of videos here. I'm hoping I can get back onto a better schedule going forward. Things are a little bit hectic right now, but we'll figure it out. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.